Here's the brain science behind unwanted desires for the P word and three helpful scientific discoveries. Number one is studies have actually found that long-term consumption of the P word actually alters neuropathway programming inside of your brain. And so what happens is we're consuming content that our brains were never designed, intelligently designed to consume. What that does is that creates a processing effect inside of your brain. That processing effect shoots over to create a response in another part of your brain. Now, the really scary part that you want to pay attention to is that neuropathways are formed and entrenched deeper and deeper over time. And so the more times, if you're anything like me, consumption over thousands of times over a period of 17 years, these neuropathways become entrenched. These are unnatural pathways that our brains were never designed to have. And so over and over again, these pathways become entrenched. And this is responsible for automatic behaviors, right? And so these are programming behavior patterns that bypass our logical thinking. And this actually starts to make you operate and act in a way that you were not created to act in naturally, right? This stems into getting angry over little things that don't matter, and a bunch of little things that we can dive in deeper. But if this is starting to pique your curiosity, this is going to become even clearer as we dive into helpful discovery number two, and that is the relationship of the limbic system and how the consumption of the P word affects it. And so we start to see here that studies have shown that the main neuropathway that's entrenched really deeply and really quickly is the one between the hypothalamus, which is responsible for your emotions, and it's located right here. This is where your urges occur, right? A desire is an emotion, right? Even if it's an unwanted desire, which is probably what you're experiencing right now, if you're anything like me. And the relationship of that to the amygdala, which is responsible for managing stress and having a response to stress, right? And the reason that that's formed is because if you've ever experienced consumption of the P word creating this kind of sedating or escaping effect from reality, it's actually a useful strategy short term to mitigate stress, and it works instantly. It just doesn't work long term. And so this is actually a really deeply formed neuropathway. And what's crazy is that research has actually shown that these entrench themselves a lot deeper and a lot faster than most other behaviors. And it's because there's this heightened state of excitement using dopamine and also adrenaline. It's very similar to if you've ever experienced somebody throwing a ball at you and it hit you in the face. Probably the next time that you learn from that exciting experience is you developed a natural automatic response to block it, right? And so you've probably experienced somebody throwing something at you or scaring you or whatever, and you had this automatic response. That was actually developed through a neural pathway, very similarly to the neural pathway that's formed by consumption of the P word. And this neural pathway is actually designed, your body started using it to protect your brain, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense until we dive into number three. And studies have shown that this is actually an automatic response that is designed to protect you, right? And so what happens is the amygdala receives stress, whether that's from some type of external stimuli, fear, loneliness, rejection, feelings of unworthiness, right? And then your amygdala manages that stress by remembering that relationship that it made, creating these urges to escape that reality into an alternate reality of pleasure. And the thing is that it works really well, and it's actually a really creative solution that your brain came up with. The problem is when your amygdala is triggered by some type of external trigger, your body actually goes into fight or flight. Now, what happens is your prefrontal cortex is actually drained of blood, right? And so functionality here in the prefrontal cortex goes way down. And the problem here is your prefrontal cortex is what's responsible for higher level logical thinking. So this is why when you go into this automatic response, you act out on your unwanted desires or your unwanted urges, and then you kind of start to sober up and kind of come back to your prefrontal cortex comes back online and starts to have some logical thoughts that are like, Why did I do that again? I promised myself I would never do that. I know that it always makes things worse long term. So why do you keep doing that? Well, those are logical thoughts, which is a symptom of your prefrontal cortex coming back online. And so the real key here is understanding that a long-term solution is never going to be accomplished by behavior management, right? And so we're starting to dive just 1% depth level into why these behaviors occur. And they're occurring because of some deeper root issues that have been entrenched for a really, really, really long time throughout developmental years. And so, if you're anything like me, you've probably tried these blockers and accountability apps and groups, or maybe trying to replace a behavior with another behavior. This is called behavior management. And the thing is, this is not a behavior problem. The behavior is actually just a symptom of the deeper things that are going on. And so, if you're ready to stop trying these surface level behavior focused solutions and you're ready to dive deeper and actually solve this problem at the root, there's a training that's been used by over 8,000 of our success stories. They all started this with this one first step and used everything inside of this training to take next steps towards permanently breaking free from this. So what it's going to help you do is it's going to help you actually identify, understand, and give you the steps to heal, the same steps that they used, your unique deeper root issue. And so if you'd like access to that, we're going to actually allow you access to that for free. Click the link below. You can go ahead and watch and register to watch that training right now. Now, I understand that it's 60 minutes long, right? But I want to ask you a question. Is 60 minutes of your time worth solving a problem that's plagued you for how long? What is that worth to you? And so this is not just a video, this is an actual training. So you're going to come out of this with like a page of notes and some practical action steps to move forward. And my hope is that this propels you forward on your journey to freedom. I think we can both agree that this probably wasn't placed in front of you today by coincidence, but by design. And so what I want you to do is go ahead and click on that button on this page right now, register and watch that training. The first thing you're going to see was actually created by our clients for you. And so it's not my words, but theirs. And so you're going to hear directly from just a handful of our 8,000 clients that have gone through this exact process. Because I understand that one of the things that may be a doubt in your mind is it even possible? Like I've dealt with this for so long. Is it even possible to live in a different reality where this is not plaguing me every single day? This is not a constant stumbly block where I'm stuck in this cycle of resisting and failing over and over again. And my question to you would be, what if? What if this is that one thing, that one missing piece of the puzzle that finally allows you to step over that hurdle, over that stumbling block, instead of repeating the same thing over and over? And so again, I don't believe this is placed in front of you by coincidence, but by design. And so click on the button on this page, register, and just watch the first 5 minutes of our clients talking to you directly. And if you believe that that's a wise use of your time after you watch that, then continue on and watch the rest of the training. If not, use your time for something else. But I think that it's worth at least 5 minutes of investigation and 60 minutes of learning to solve a problem that's plagued you for a really long time. And so again, click that link below, register, and I will see you in that training. If you thought that this was insightful, wait till you spend 60 minutes doing a deep dive on understanding and identifying your unique root issue and coming up with an action plan moving forward that's worked for over 8,000 other people. And so click the link right now, and I'll see you on the training.